2400
Welcome to the 2400 Block Podcast with your host, Johnny Ruse.
How did your day go today?
It was pretty good. Work and then went to the gym, played some hoop. Here, man. Great day, actually.
That's good. Good for you, man. As for me, I'm doing like last minute Christmas shopping.
Yeah, I understand that too. Same here.
Yeah, and I have to head to Virginia Beach on this weekend. I have to take care of a couple of things, especially what happened to my brother. So we're still trying to resolve that thing.
Yeah, man. Condolences for that as well. I know that's tough.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Well, you are my guest for today's episode. I thank you personally for showing up. Is this like your third or fourth time being on a podcast, or you've been on a lot lately?
No, this is third. You're my third podcast. Yep.
Oh, okay. So I did watch the episodes that featured you on those respective podcasts. I think the other one was the Healing Heart, and the other one was the Church podcast.
Yeah, the Church and the Heart Helper.
Uh-huh. All right. Welcome to the show, Harold. Are you in of course I'll call you Tre. I got to get used to it because I remember always calling you Harold.
Yeah.
And by the way, folks, me and Tre here, we've come a long way. We met somewhere in the gaps of time. I believe it was at a temp assignment. I think we were in 2 temp assignments.
Yeah.
And you were with Harbinger, and I was with something else. And that's how we met.
I can't remember. I want to say it was Harbinger that put me in that grocery store when I first met you.
Yeah. Do you remember what kind of assignment it was?
We were getting nutritional facts off of products in the store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sort of rings a bell. And I think we had to take the product and scan it.
I think it was like inventory / like, again, we were getting information from like the back of the products, like calories and all that stuff. It was an interesting assignment, to say the least.
Yeah. That's neat. You're in Georgia now, right?
Yes, sir.
Wow, you've been going places.
Been all over, man. All over.
Yeah. So when you were in the Hampton Roads area, did you just got out of the Navy?
Yeah, so I got out of the Navy in 2005.
Okay.
And then I came back. I went to Ohio for a little bit just to kind of, reset myself. But then I came back to Hampton Roads. I lived in Norfolk for the most part.
Okay. What part of Norfolk?
Norfolk.
I lived in the Coleman Place section of Norfolk, so back then. How about you? Where did you live at in Norfolk?
Right off of Norview, like right by the airport, right down the street from the airport, and then right off of I think it was East or West Little Creek Road. There was apartments right there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm sure you're also familiar with 5 Points, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to go to Norview before they built the new school. So I went to Norview Middle School. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. So what we're going to cover here, we're going to talk about your early life in Canton. You'll sort of give me an open picture how it was like living in your shoes, in your point of view, and then we'll talk about a little bit about life in the Navy, and then we'll transition on to your book, as well as Ohio University. I know you like to talk about the Ohio State University. I'm sorry, Ohio State University.
Ohio State, yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna have a good full, hopefully an hour and a half. We'll try to. I'll try to get as much questions as possible. I only will tackle maybe about 80% of these questions. So.
Yeah, I read over.
You ready?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. By the way, I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll come back together again at some point, right?
Yeah, I saw them. They were on tour like 2 years ago, and I saw them here in Atlanta.
Oh, nice.
It's like a dream come true because, as kids, like Wu-Tang was everything.
Okay. All right. Did you ever bump into, since you're in Georgia and you're talking about Atlanta, have you ever bumped into what's his name? Andre 3000? Was it Andre 3000?
Yeah, Andre. No, I've never seen him walking around randomly like playing the flute or nothing, but plenty of people have. Funny enough.
Yeah, as for me, when I was in Virginia Beach, I bumped into Pharrell in Mount Trashmore.
I used to see Pharrell. Do you remember there was a club called Knickerbockers?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, right. So they had.
Oh wow.
They had. It was Latin night, so. And this is right before him and Snoop shot the video for Beautiful. So I think he was just trying to get inspiration that night. So he was at Knickerbockers, and then I saw him at Military Circle Mall one time. Oh,
nice.
Yeah,
nice. Oh, that mall is history now, man.
Really?
Yeah. I think he was one of those that wanted to buy it. I'm not sure if he did buy it successfully, but he was one of those that wanted to purchase it and make it into something.
Like, again, I became, I went from a boy to a man in Virginia, so definitely has a special place in my heart, for sure.
Oh, that's nice. And by the way, I now remember our second temp assignment. We were at, what's this, Portfolio Recovery Associates.
We were.
There you go. All right. Wow, we've come a long way, Tre.
We have.
Look how we've grown.
Man.
Wow, you're doing the, being a book author, and here I am trying to do this podcast.
For sure.
All right. So could you share your earliest moments from growing up in Canton, Ohio? I'd love to hear what daily life was like in your home, and who were the main people in your family, your parents, siblings, grandparents who helped shape you.
So with my mom, because I grew up in a single parent home with just my mom. So I'm her only child. So I'm an only child in that sense. I have two sisters from my dad, but for home life in Canton, it was me, my mom, and then we lived right next door to my grandparents. So that was nice. Always I can't really fully call myself like a latchkey kid because my grandparents were always right there. And then my uncle, my mother's brother, lived right around the corner. So I had a very unique, like what I call ecosystem. Like our neighborhood took care of, each other in the sense of like, you're never feeling like you're alone. Like you could always depend, like you could always go to somebody's house and get a meal. It's just a very tight-knit, family-oriented, like neighborhood. I grew up across the street from like one of the most notorious like parks in Canton at the time it still is Nemasilla Park. I grew up right across the street from there. Tough environment, I would say, but again, because I had that unique ecosystem, it kind of kept me away from the bad elements of Nemasilla Park. So I can't say that I was involved in any of the things that happened, but as a young kid, you did see things turn like and change in the neighborhood in the late 80s and early 90s. So yeah, just growing up in Canton, early childhood, I could just remember just being at my grandparents' house, my uncle's house, my neighbor's house, anybody's house that had their door open. I was always there.
Oh, that's nice, man. Wow. Really opening up my eyes with that one. Yeah, as for me, I've been a latchkey. To be honest, my parents, they're like barely home. They're always working all the time, and I was left with a grandfather. But my grandfather's like a non-factor. He doesn't really, do much. So it was just me and my brothers. We had our own rules. We know when to be back. I remember you were talking about that in the podcast. Like when the lights are on, you got to go home.
Yeah, I definitely had that rule, but it was kind of lenient because again, like our neighborhood, again, everybody knew each other. So we could kind of remain outside as long as we were like close to the house.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't be too far away. The street light thing was just kind of like bring me closer to home. I didn't necessarily have to be inside the house, especially in the summertime. Just catching lightning bugs and playing with my neighborhood friends and my cousins.
Yeah, those were fun, man. The lightning bugs.
Yeah.
All right. Let me look at a question here that might be interesting. Did you participate in local activities like church sports, community events, or organizations in Canton that influences the person that you have become today?
Absolutely. Like, my mom, built a foundation, around Christianity, definitely going to church. There were times I was probably in church probably 4 out of 7 days a week,
Oh, wow.
Being a junior usher, they had our church had like a youth group. So, we would meet like a teen peer group, Bible study. So yeah, I definitely was active in the church setting. As a young kid, found basketball as the outlet that I loved the most. So definitely played, local sports. And, Canton being the Football Hall of Fame, football being, the precipice of everything that Canton really is. So, I wanted to play football, but at the time when I was a kid, I didn't really have the size or I didn't really have the motivation to continue to be a football player. I always leaned more towards playing basketball for sure.
Now, were you growing like your height right now? Were you tall when you were in high school?
I was not tall until I got to maybe my junior year. I hit a growth spurt. I went going into my junior year, I went from 5'10", and I went to high school like 6'1", and then I went from my junior to senior year 6'1" to 6'3". So it was a weird transition to hit like 6'1", 6'3", tripping over myself. Funny enough, I used to like fall up we had these notorious steps. I went to Canton McKinley High School. It might not be the same. It's been a while since I've been inside the high school, but it was like these back steps that would take you to like the main hallway. And I would always like try to run up the steps and just trip over myself. My books would just like flying in the air and stuff like that. So it was a very awkward transition from going from like 5'9.5", 5'10" to like 6'1" to 6'2". And then I hit another growth spurt when I actually from 18 to 19 when I was in boot camp. Once I left Naval boot camp, they told me I grew an inch then. So I finally reached 6'4" by the time I was 19.
Wow. So where did you go to boot camp at?
Great Lakes, Illinois.
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Same with my brother.
Yeah.
He went in 94.
Yeah, I went in 2000.
Oh, okay. And were you stationed to a ship after that?
Yep, I went to the USS Seattle. It's decommissioned now. It was an old ship when I got on the ship. The ship was like commissioned in like 1967. So by the time I got there in 2000, it was already a very old ship. It was an oiler, so a lot of arduous out to sea duty because we replenished fuel for other ships and also gave them food supplies, gave them ammunition. We had everything on our ship. We were the like one-stop shop in the middle of the sea.
Well, nice. Hey, you see my partner in the podcast, right, Ken? You see him off and on.
Yeah.
He's like this, this African American guy with me that's on the show every once in a while.
Yeah.
Turns out that he and my brother actually went to boot camp at the same time, and they also wounded up on the same ship, which was the John C. Stennis. It was so totally new at the time,
I
and
remember
they're plank owners. So
nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. Let me ask you another question here. Looking back, what was a defining humble beginnings moment in Canton that fueled your motivation to do your best?
Humble beginnings. To do my best. I would say just being from blue collar, hardworking. I looked up to my grandfather. My grandfather, my mom's dad, was the first African American power lineman for the Ohio Power Company. You know, the guys that go up, like once your lights go out, those are guys that go up and fix it. Well, he was the first African American in our city. So the motivation was right in my home. Like, it was right there. It was instilled in me. And just, again, being from just like, you know, my uncle was always a go-getter. My mom was always a go-getter. My grandmother, a go-getter. So just watching them as a kid and then traveling. Like, my grandparents introduced me to, you know, traveling outside of where I'm from. I went to New York City on my 10th birthday, and it changed my life. I knew then, like, I wanted to see the world. I knew then I even made the statement, like, I'm going to live in New York City as an adult. Which, funny enough, my first duty station was in New Jersey, which was right across the water from New York. So before the Twin Towers got taken down, unfortunately, during 9/11, I used to sit there and on my flight deck on my ship and stare at New York and kind of reflect back when I was a kid, saying to myself, like, you know, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. So traveling definitely broadened my horizons to the fact that I knew I didn't want to be scared. I didn't want to really.
Oh, sorry, Harold, in case you kind of froze there. So, yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes technology can be so weird. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it just paused for a moment when you were talking.
All right, so if we need to go back to that, we can.
Sure.
So you asked about the humble beginnings is just like I was saying, my grandfather was the first Black power lineman in Canton, Ohio, for the Ohio Power Company. So, you know, that's greatness within itself. Him making history. You know, my mom was always a hard worker. My grandmother, my uncle was a multifaceted guy. You know, he worked, but also had side hustles. And he would like bring me and, you know, my first cousin, his daughter, he would bring us along to jobs and, you know, give us a little pocket money. But it was always instilled in me to, like, you know, work hard, but play hard. Like, so yeah, the humble beginnings definitely just came from being from a hard-working blue-collar family and just understanding that the world is bigger than just Canton, Ohio, just traveling as a young kid as well.
Yeah, and that must have been a really awesome moment for you when you finally got out of the box that was Canton, Ohio, and then you're seeing the whole world right there in front of you at that early age.
It changed my life. But, like, I'm very thankful that I was afforded those opportunities to travel. Like I said, I had my 10th birthday in New York City. I saw the Statue of Liberty on my 10th birthday, and I was just like, we went to Ellis Island. You know, that's a very impactful place. And yeah, I knew then, like, this had, like, there's more to the world, and I'm excited to go, like, try to discover it and find myself and find my way in this big world.
You know, when you mentioned Lady Liberty, this thing like really shocked me when I saw it for the first time. It's like blue green for the most part.
Yeah.
You look at some of the images, it's like you think it's gray.
Yeah. And they explained because of, like, the rain and all of that, because we took like this it's called, I don't know if they still have this in New York, but it's called the Circle Line, which you like kind of take a boat tour around, the Hudson and all of that, and you go to Liberty Island, you go to Ellis Island. So yeah, like they explained to us then. I was like, because I even looked at my mom like, the Statue of Liberty is green, like, you know what I mean?
All right, I'm gonna flash back here. Back before you went to the Navy, as a high school graduate in 1999, what were your first plans or options, like college work or something else, before you chose the Navy? Did you have anything in mind before considering the Navy?
So as a student, I'll be honest, I struggled as a student. So college really, it was instilled in me, especially during those times, because, HBCUs and just, I'll say like shows like A Different World would show like college life. I was intrigued to be a college student, but I wasn't really putting in the effort to really make it to college. So out of high school, I really didn't have any direction at first, right? I was getting jobs here and there, but I'm a young kid. I'm only 17 because my birthday is in August. So even when I graduate, I'm still 17. So I'm just trying to find my way. I turned 18 and got a couple odd jobs. One of the jobs I got it's this notorious factory in Canton called Sugardale. And pretty much everybody, it's like your rites of passage. Like if your first real job is either like, it was like Sugardale, Park Farms, you work for the city, or you Republic Steel, because there's a steel mills, Timken Company. So you kind of like those, you get in the parameter of those kind of jobs, and I found my way into Sugardale. Unfortunately, that job didn't last for me. Got another job at the other place I mentioned, Park Farms. Me and my best friend, actually, I didn't even know he was applying for this job. And when I was going to fill out my application, he was leaving. And I remember I was riding with my grandfather, and I like flagged down his car, like, "You about to work here?" Like, and it was so exciting because that's literally like who I grew up with. And we both got the job, we got the same shifts, but we're 18-year-old kids working like the third shift. It was like not the like it was like the second shift, like 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. It was like 12-hour shifts, and like we're young, so we're like, this ain't working, this ain't happening. So we quit that job together, and then after that, it's just like I was kind of wayward all over the place, and then. My mom is putting pressure on me because she's like, "What are you doing with your life?" And things were, picking up in my neighborhood. Because like I said, I don't want to call it a rough neighborhood, but like, in the 90s, things changed for a lot of neighborhoods. I'll just say that. And for me, it's like I didn't want to get involved in, being a drug dealer or a gang member. That was never my thing. So I was trying to find my way. And funny enough, rest in peace to DMX. DMX had a song called Slipping. And, the hook goes, "I'm slipping, I'm falling, I can't get up." And I remember really being emotional because I didn't have any direction. And I was sitting in my room crying, like literally crying, like praying to God, like, what am I doing? The song was playing and the lyrics were like resonating with me so much. And then I look over to my TV. And you remember those old school commercials, like the 1-800 U.S. Navy in the Navy, like those, like "Go Navy," those. And then I just called the number, and I talked to the lady, and I said, I need to learn how to find out how to join the Navy. And the next day, they sent the recruiter to my house.
Oh wow! Now, did you ever try asking your coworker friend if he wanted to go to the Navy?
Nah, I didn't. Like, no. I never, like. Literally, nobody even knew. Like, I just made this decision on my own. Like, because it was just one of those things where I knew I had to get up out of my environment. Like, it was just getting. I wouldn't say it was getting worse, but it was like I felt like the walls were closing in on, and I felt like I needed to do more with my life than just kind of, do the run of the mill type of thing. Just become the blue collar worker in Canton. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it just wasn't my path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right. Let me switch to another question here since you partially answered one of the questions here already. Can you share what the recruitment process was like for you in 2000? I guess that's what the year was, and also how did leaving Canton for basic training make you feel emotionally?
So my recruiter, Chief Kevin McDonald, he passed away several years ago, but he was really impactful, like very early in the recruitment process. He had 2 cars. He's like, "Hey, this could be your life." You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was from an adjacent city next to where I grew up. It's called Louisville, Ohio. So he grew up in Louisville, kind of a different environment, but like close enough to understand, how I was growing up. And he was like, "Look, man, like I see what's going on around you. You don't want to be a statistic," which I definitely did want to be. So the recruiting process was, and he also brought somebody from my high school who had graduated like a year before me and had joined the Navy and had been in the Navy about a year and a half. And he was just he brought him to my house and he was just running down, the things that changed his life. Because, he's from Canton, he's basically from my area, from my neighborhood. So it was kind of like a looking in the mirror, and it got me really excited. So the process, you take the ASVAB, and then you kind of wait. And then I finally got my ship out date, but it actually changed. Because some things happened in my neighborhood with my friends. I don't get into too much details, but like one of my friends got into some real trouble, like that affected all of us. And he ended up going to jail for it. And my mom didn't want me in Canton. So she called my recruiter, Kevin McDonald, and told him like he has to go. And he did everything. He made it happen. I ended up being shipped out October of 2000, and I wasn't even supposed to leave until probably like April of like 2001. So he moved me up quick and got me up out of there. Matter of fact, July. Excuse me. I wasn't supposed to leave until October, and he moved me up to July because things had just gotten really heated in my neighborhood. There were, gang environment, and, things that happen within that type of environment happen. And I was close to a situation, and my mom just, she didn't want me to be a statistic because she could see, the path that, my friends were going down. And eventually, if I would have stayed, I would have probably, made some bad decisions. So, I thank my mom, and I thank, again, Chief Kevin McDonald for saving my life, for sure.
Oh, that's great. That's great. God bless your mom.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Let me see. Describe your first days in boot camp. What surprised you the most about military life compared to life back home in Ohio? I'm sure it's a big adjustment.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of nights crying in my bunk. I'm staring out the window, like what have I done? Because there was structure. I'm not gonna say I didn't have structure, but there's a difference between parental structure, military structure. You're getting up. My mom didn't necessarily. She wasn't the type of mom that would make me make up my bed every day. Where in the military, you had to make up your bed. You had to make it up in a specific way. You had to do all these things. And it's just like, waking up at 4:00 in the morning every day, running, physical activity, also, studying. It was a whirlwind of just emotions that I was dealing with. I really didn't get settled in probably until like a month. And I think that was probably everybody in my division. It was like a rude awakening for a lot of us to have this type of structure day in and day out. But I became acclimated, within that month. And then just kind of just rode the wave after that and bought in to what it was to be a sailor and finish those 9.5 weeks. So the early days, a lot of crying. Cause like I remember they give you like your first phone call home after like 2 weeks, just crying. Couldn't even really talk to anybody. Just so happy to hear my mom's voice, so happy to hear my grandparents' voice. Because like I said, they live right next door. So my mom took the cordless phone over to my grandparents' house, and everybody's just passed. You know, back in the day, you pass the phone to somebody when they're calling from away. So definitely a rude awakening. I would say it was a rude awakening, but it was a much needed structure that I needed in my life at that time. Because I turned 19 in boot camp. Because I went in July. My birthday is in August, so I turned 19 in boot camp. And again, like I think it was like right after my birthday, I just kind of like locked in. Like, okay, you're not going anywhere, and this is going to be your life. You know, for however long you want it to be.
Man, it must have been awesome. Just like realizing that you just went through that, through that system, that structure, and you know, just maybe a few weeks in, you're like, wow, I went through this and I survived.
I survived,
and now and I'm talking to my folks.
Yeah. That's a perfect way to put it. That's exactly what happened. It's just like I did survive. I have evidence now that I can get through the rest of this now. Like I've been here a month. The crying is kind of subsided, and you know I'm again getting acclimated to this lifestyle. And now, like let's finish out strong. Definitely.
Nice. And what was your role or ranking in the U.S. Navy, and how did you end up in that position?
So I was an admin type, a yeoman.
Okay.
And again, my first assignment was the USS Seattle. So with yeoman, they work directly with like officers and the commanding officer and the executive officer. So it was kind of like one of those things where you kind of get thrown into the fire early as a yeoman because you're getting FaceTime with the commanding officer. You know, the man that when he walks into a room, you stand at attention. They call attention on deck, and the whole room stands up at attention. So it was I would say it kind of made that transition easy because you're working with the top dog. Like, so you're going to fall in line pretty quickly. Like when you're working with the commanding officer and the executive officer. So yeah, I was a yeoman. I was like one out of my friend group. I was like one of the first ones to make E4, which was a really proud moment because the Navy was like it was a lot of ebbs and flows. I was still a young man, I'll say that. So I made a lot of mistakes, and for me to make E4 when I did, it was surprising to everybody. But again, it's just one of those things where I was always the kid that would kind of hang out with the have-nots and the misfits a little bit, but I would also kind of like stay in line with the principles and with the technical issues. All right. So I would always, because my mom always instilled these principles and this moral compass inside of me that would always draw me back to understanding exactly who I am as a person and what my role is for the progression of my own life. So no matter what my friends are doing, I want to make E4. I got to not go to the club tonight and study. And they're like, man, you was out with the club. You know, like my friends joke, like, you in the club with us every night. Like, some nights I would, leave the club early and go home and study. And it paid off in the end.
Yeah. But I'm sure it also can cause a little bit of some friction in friendships, because they're just used to you, with that routine, going to the club, having fun.
Yeah.
And
then, one of my friends, actually, man, he couldn't. He didn't necessarily mean it, but he couldn't hide his emotions the night that, like the morning, like, because they make an announcement once you make rank over and they announce who they. And my boy didn't make it, and we had what's called duty, which you have to stay over on the ship and protect the ship for that night. And he walked past me on the mess decks, which is like where the communal eating area. He was like, "Man, so what you made E4? Come on." But what happened to him is he actually made the rank because it's called being capped, where the captain selects a couple people who may not have passed the test, but their leaders are saying they're ready for the role. The test doesn't really show who this person is. And he ended up getting capped. So I was looking at him like, look at that. You was upset with me making it, and God had this plan for you the whole time. So yeah, it didn't cause much friction. Most of my friends were happy for me. And I think it served as motivation for some of them as well to kind of get to fall in line, like see what happens. And I always want to be that example. Like, if I can do it, you can do it.
That's nice. All right. What advice would you give a current high school graduate from Canton who's thinking about joining the military? You think it's good for him or her?
Environments is different now because funny enough, I joined the Navy when it was like peacetime. I joined at the end of Clinton's administration, so there wasn't really much war.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, the USS Cole got attacked in Yemen when I was in my naval A school. And then the USS, that happened. And then, of course, 9/11 happened along my maybe first year. And, we don't have those. Well, we don't know what's going to happen on the horizon with what's going on now. But I would tell them to assess, assess where you are as far as discipline, because it's going to take that. And if you don't have the discipline, don't waste your time. But if you need discipline, and you know that if you don't have discipline, but you need it, because that was me. I didn't have the discipline, or I would say I didn't have the military discipline and I didn't know that until I stepped into that role. So if you're seeking discipline, if you're seeking a way out of Canton, Ohio, or any other small town, or anywhere that you're at, then yeah, I would definitely say join the Navy, join the military. But of course, me being a former sailor, I would say join the Navy and let them open up your eyes to what the world really is, because you'll get to travel. I've seen half of the world just through the Navy, just simply being in the Navy. I was able to broaden my horizon, see bigger and better things outside of my small town.
Yeah, wow. What places have you been to around the world, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh no, so I've been to. Let me think. Been to a lot of places. So I've been to, United Arab Emirates. I've been to Bahrain. I've been to Crete, which is an island right off of Greece. I've been to Sicily. I've been to Italy. I've been to France. I've been to Germany. Yeah, those are the main places I could think of off the top of my head that were definitely impactful. I remember going to Crete. I mentioned that because me and my friend, he was from Chicago, Torres, and we were standing on top of this hill just overlooking the view. And he looked over and he was like, I wouldn't have imagined, a kid from Chicago and a kid from Canton, Ohio, standing on top of the hill overlooking, a European, the Mediterranean and all of that, just a European landscape, and being able to just take in that moment. So yeah, traveling the world is definitely, I would, if you want to travel the world, if you want to, get your education paid for, then definitely just join the military for sure. If you're not ready to really join the real workforce, because the real workforce, you don't have the ability to live on the ship, the ability to live on base. You gotta kind of get it how you live when you're a civilian. In the military, they do take care of you. You get government housing, or you can stay. If you're on the ship, you can stay on the ship until you save money and can move out of town. So it gives you the opportunity to be an adult, but also gives you that cushion of stability.
Wow, well said there. When did you realize it was time to say this is it for the U.S. Navy? I'm gonna end it here. How did that come about?
I just felt like I had outgrown, and it was issues with leadership. A lot of things have changed in the Navy because there was a lot of old ways that was happening when I was still in the Navy. So I like the leadership aspect of it is just like, I don't know how much longer I can take this, because it changed from, the ideals that they implant in you in boot camp with honor, courage, and commitment. It wasn't, it changes once you go out into the fleet, because, the human aspect takes over, and different personalities take over. So it was just kind of one of those things where I was just kind of, I hit a dead end with that career. I knew I needed to move on because I had my eyes set on bigger and better things at that time.
Okay. Wow. How was it like, adjusting back to civilian life after that?
It was strange because my first job out of the Navy was working in the stock room in Target back in Canton, and I would just compare everything to the Navy. Man, there's the structure ranking, the lack of timeliness, people being late all the time. I'm like, oh, are you crazy? Like being late every day, like that's not tolerated. But like in the civilian world, there's kind of a leniency, not much, but a lot more lenient than what the Navy would have given me if I would have been showing up late like that. I wasn't showing up late, but the other people around sometimes were. So it was an easy transition in the sense of, because I wanted to get out of the Navy, but the work aspect of it was tough because I compared everything to the Navy, the structure that was implemented with the Navy.
Wow. Then after that, you just went to other jobs after Target, right?
I moved back to Virginia after Target. So I came back home. Like I got out the Navy 2005, worked at Target for a little bit. In 2006, I moved back to Virginia.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So, okay, moving on here. I'm just going to ask you a few things about Ohio State University. And what first ignited your passion for, rooting for Ohio State University? Was there a special game, player, or a moment that truly made you a lifelong Buckeyes fan?
When you, for most people, I would say, growing up in Ohio, you're kind of just born into being a Buckeye. But for me, so my grandfather was best friends with a Big Ten referee. He would take us to games. So going to Ohio Stadium on Saturdays, and at that time it was like Pepe Pearson, Stanley Jackson, Joe Germain. I can't think of, but just going like as a 16-year-old kid, it changed my life. Like I was always a Buckeyes fan, but actually finally going and being a part of the tradition of the Buckeyes and the Ohio Stadium. It like from that point on, like I said, I was always a fan, but it really changed when I actually got to go and set my eyes on the field and sit in the seats and just be in that environment in Columbus, Ohio. It changed my life, and from that point on, I was just die hard. But oddly enough, going back to like just being a fan of sports, as a kid, like again, I being from Canton, I went to Canton McKinley High School. Me and my best friend, we were fans of them, like the high school athletes. they were like professional athletes too. So even like going to what was back in the day, it was called Foster Stadium, going to see the Bulldogs play football or going to the field house to watch them play basketball. It was guys like, Chris High, just like kind of just changed like Che Bryant for football, Kente Mitchell. And as a matter of fact, Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, used to be the Camp McKinley quarterback and kicker. So just growing up, like you kind of are indoctrinated into loving football just because if you're from Canton, you're going to love the Camp McKinley Bulldogs for the most part. And then it just kind of matriculates into Ohio State, the Ohio State University. But like your original question, what made me like really a diehard is when I started going to the games with my grandfather and even watching his best friend on the field as a ref was like, oh my God, I know this guy. He's like but when we go to these games and we would check into the hotel, he was like a rock star too. People knew him. And it was just it was an amazing environment to be around. Like I'll always cherish that, and that's definitely why I'm a huge Buckeye.
That's cool. Okay, I'm gonna sound like a dumbass here. I know there's like the stickers are like a significant part of the the Ohio State players, football players helmet. What does that mean? The stickers.
So those are given to you once you do something significant on the field. You earn those.
Okay.
You earn those Buckeye stickers.
Oh.
It's just like when you in elementary school getting a smiley face sticker, same thing, except it's a Buckeye. Job well done.
Me and my girlfriend were asking like, why do they have so many stickers on their helmet? I'm like, I don't know. Let me ask Harold.
You see all of the stickers on the guy's helmet, like that means he's been doing a great job on the football field, basically.
Oh, that's nice, and that's been an ongoing thing. It's like tradition.
Yeah, that's been forever.
That's awesome. Okay. All right, you had the chance to meet Jim Harbaugh, Michigan's coach at that time. Would you mind sharing how that encounter came about and what was the experience like?
My ex-wife was in the Navy, and she was stationed in Italy, and that team up north, because I don't say the Wolverines, but I don't say the M word. It's forbidden. Oh. It's banned.
Okay.
So that state up north, that team up north, they made a trip to Rome, and you're familiar with like the Navy, so like the MWR. Like the people, the morale, the welfare, recreational people, they were coordinating a trip to go see them. And I was like, oh, I'm going. With full Buckeye gear on, everything. I am going. And so we signed up and, we got up early that morning because we lived in Napoli or Naples. And Rome was only a 2-hour trip. So got on that bus. And funny enough, when their bus arrived to the facility where they were going to practice at in Rome, you could just see all of the faces of the Wolverines like, wait, what? Because there were a bunch of, real that team up north Wolverine fans that went to that trip. And me, my ex-wife, and 2 other graduates of Ohio State actually went and made the trip. So all 4 of us had Ohio State gear on. So we kind of had like special access because, military and all of that. So when they were getting off the bus, we had first access to them to kind of go up, shake hands. And Harbaugh gets off the bus. And I forgot the ESPN guy. He's a college guy. And he does a lot of on-the-road interviews. So he was traveling with them. And he's going up to him, to get off the bus and get that first interview off the bus into Rome. And Harbaugh says, I want to go talk to that guy, pointing at me. I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, oh, here it goes. Like, what I'm saying? I didn't know how, but I'm going to say this. Jim Harbaugh was so great to just me, my ex-wife, and everybody that came there. But like to have that exchange, shake his hand, be able to take that picture, it was a monumental moment. Monumental, like I would have never imagined in 100 years that I would be able to be put in that position to meet Jim Harbaugh, and on top of that, him being the head coach of that team and being able to take that picture. Like, so that's a very monumental moment for me. But it was just funny because we got off the bus. He was like, "Yeah, I got to go talk to that guy because I know he's spying." So yeah, it was a great. I got to meet his dad, Jack, who spent time in Canton, as a matter of fact. So we had a conversation about my high school, Camp McKinley, and just the tradition of Ohio. And one of the things I agreed with Jim Harbaugh upon leaving Rome that afternoon was he was like, "I know you can't root for us during the game, but will you at least say you'll cheer for us, for the round?" And I was like, "You got that, man," because you guys were so it could have went the other way. You guys could have been rude. I wasn't because I can be obnoxious. I definitely wear that hat of the obnoxious Buckeye fan. When people describe the obnoxious Buckeye fan, they're talking about me specifically. But because I remember even what was his name? The running back. His last name was Hart, and he was stretching, and I just wiped it off like, "Yeah, I'm here." And he got closer to the fence, and he was like, "Hey, where are you from?" Like, you know where I'm from. I'm from Ohio, but we live up the road, so we decided to just come in and check in on y'all. But everybody was so great. Rashad Gary, he plays for the Green Bay Packers now, a defensive guy. Very just humble, great young men. But when that time of the year comes around, when we play them, I don't have that many nice things to say about the Wolverines. But that moment and that day was definitely it was great. It was a great day to spend with them and just watch, a university with that much history, just go through the motions and watching them practice. So it was a great opportunity to have and to meet Jim Harbaugh and the rest of the staff and the rest of the Wolverines that were on that team.
Man, I remember looking at that for the first time, and I'm like, "Is he really with Coach Harbaugh?"
Yeah.
And I had to zoom just to make sure that you were with, because there's always the lookalikes or imposters out there.
That was Jim.
Just wanted to make sure you were seeing the real deal.
No, that was Jim. That was for sure him.
Now, wouldn't it be cool if you went to San Diego and saw him?
For sure.
Since he's the coach right now.
Yeah, Los Angeles. They moved. They're not in San Diego, but he's in LA now.
Oh yeah. Why am I saying San Diego? See, that's how it is. When you say Chargers, you associate it with
yeah. San Diego Superchargers. They had the song and everything. So yeah, for sure.
I love that song too.
I loved it. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, when I lived in San Diego, I lived right down the street from the stadium. And I used to go to a lot of games. And the first time I heard that song, I was like, "Yo, this is kind of I like this song." I'm not a fan, I'm a Bengals fan, but man, they probably got one of the best songs for an NFL team. That song is great.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saved it somewhere on my hard drive.
Yeah.
I just love that song.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. I know this is associated with the question I just asked you earlier. As a diehard Ohio State fan, meeting the rivals coach, were you able to keep your Buckeyes loyalty in check, or did any friendly trash talk slip out?
It was right off the gate. It was right over. As soon as you said, "Are you here to spy?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm taking notes all day." And at that time, Urban Meyer was still our coach, so I'm like, "I got Coach Meyer on the line. Don't worry," But he was so nice. It was hard to, but I stood because they were passing out gear, and the two other people that we were with, they were like, "We want to get some gear because we have some friends that are alum of that school." And the equipment guy was like, "Only way I can give it to you is if you say go blue." And I looked at him like, "Are You really gonna do that? Like, that's when I was like, okay, that's where I draw the line. I'm not ever gonna say that. So I was definitely able to maintain being a Buckeye in the midst of, again, Jim Harbaugh and the rest of that staff and that team. They were great. As a matter of fact, some of the players were even taunting me by, like, I remember one time I was like walking and passing. It was like lunch, and some of them were kind of just walking around, and I was walking around, and they would like pass me and be like, "OH." Like, I'm not repeating, like, I'm not saying that back to you though. But I know what you're doing, but I'm not saying it back to you.
I even remember that that ESPN commercial with the rivalry.
Yeah. For sure.
The guy said, "Buckeyes." Yeah, I remember that one. For fellow Buckeyes fans listening, what's one piece of advice you would give on staying passionate through the ups and downs of the rivalry?
Well, we just got over, 4 years of losing to them. So we maintained. It was a tough 4 years. But for the most part, like, we've been dominant in this rivalry in the 2000s. I think we still have 17 wins altogether since the year 2000. So any Buckeyes on the, straddling the line, hey, hop off the bus then. We don't have time for doubt. We don't have time for anybody wavering their fandom. It's all in or nothing. That's my advice. Stay all in. Just stay locked in. The Buckeyes are always going to come out, you know what I'm saying, the best team. Always.
I hear that. You hear that, guys?
OH.
All right. Moving on. We are now going to go to the main event, which is about your book.
Yes, sir.
What inspired you, Tre, to write this book?
Right
there you go. Look at that, guys. This is Tre's book.
Right there.
I'm just talking to myself.
But if you're reading this, hopefully it helps. All right. So the book is about self-affirmations that I created for myself. And it started with, my current partner. She was asking me, she asked me, because I was going through a rough time, because it was a tough transition once I moved here to Georgia. Very just tough personal transition. I was going through a lot. I kind of like I dealt with some death. I lost my grandfather. I lost my dad in 2019 and 2020. I got a divorce in 2020. So I was going through a rough patch. And she asked me one night, just in discussion, what motivates you? And I was being kind of arrogant when I was saying it, but it was some truth to it. I said, I motivate myself. I don't have to watch motivational videos or anything like that. Like, I'm the one who motivates you. And, when you say those kind of things, and if, if you pray, you believe in, the higher power, the creator, he's going to challenge you in those moments. So what happened the next morning was, at that time I was working at a job that was about like a 35-minute job. I was working at Yamaha at the time, building golf carts and ATVs. It was a fun job, kind of, but like still, like, it was just a rough transition for me. And the creator, the Most High, was just talking to me. You motivate yourself, right? You motivate yourself. What does that look like? What does that sound like? How do you motivate yourself, since you said that? And I started just writing out like these affirmations that I needed to tell myself on Facebook. I would pray, I would meditate, and I would kind of like sit in my car and wait for some of these quotes to come to me, like just naturally. And I just type them out. And one of my friends from high school, he actually used to live, down here in Georgia as well. He like actually only lived like right down the street from me. And he was kind of like struggling with things too, personal life things. And he would tell me like, these quotes are really helping. And other people would tell me this. And then actually the illustrator of the book, Jason J. Flo Florent, he said if you put these in the book, I would read it.
Oh,
And it was
wow.
in that moment, I'm like, and as a kid, I've always been, I've always enjoyed creative writing. I've always enjoyed just the English language articulation. And I've been told that a lot. Like, you should write a book. You should write a book. It's like, I don't know how to write a book. So hearing that really didn't mean anything to me at that time because I didn't know how to write a book, didn't know how to go about doing it until, again, the creator, God just kept pushing. Like, well, these people are telling you this for a reason. And one of the things, like I said before, like one of the things that I always wanted to do was just help and motivate people to understand, like, I'm a mirror image of you. Whether you think I'm doing great or you think I'm doing bad, I always just want to motivate you to be the best version of yourself because that's what I'm trying to do. So I just went through the process of compiling all of these quotes and creating like a book document on it was on Adobe. So I got the Adobe app, started the process of getting these quotes into a book format. And my partner was very instrumental in pushing forward and getting some certain things done on, the administration part of the book. Because me, I'm the talent. I wrote the book. How do we get this done? And she pushed forward and pressed forward. And as you see in my intro, I thanked her as my muse, Tiffany Wade. So it just came from me wanting to really live out the words that I motivate myself, but then to translate that into motivating everybody else. My whole mission in life is not to tell you how to live your life, but I want to teach you how to love your life. And that starts with how you talk to yourself. Like you can trick your brain into either being positive or being negative. It's just the consistency of either. And the whole goal of my book was to push the consistency of positive self-talk. So that's the whole goal and the premise of the book. Is because they're very short quotes. Because I also believe, in this day and time, our attention span is a little bit shorter. Because of computers and our phones and stuff like that. So there's only 82 pages, and they're just short little quotes. And I literally tell people sometimes I just pick up the book and I just pick 2 quotes and I just read them. And, that's what I encourage other people to do as well. And just apply it to your daily life. Apply the affirmations to your daily life. Tell yourself, and then from that point, create your own affirmation. What do you? I gave you the blueprint of positive self-talk. Now translate that into how you want to hear it and how you can motivate yourself.
Oh, wow. Now, how many of these affirmations did you got from Facebook? And then which ones were like totally new after that?
Well, all of them were from me. So I created every single affirmation and just put them on Facebook. So everything is original content from my brain. So yeah, like to answer that, everything I like. But I will say, sometimes scrolling social media and seeing other people and what they're going through, I would get motivated and I would kind of apply it to how I could effectively, if I was in that situation, what would I say to me in that situation? So yeah, I did use other people as motivation and what they were going through and just kind of like the worldscape of what was going on. But for the most part, it all came from things that I had to tell myself to get myself out of this rut that I was in, because I was just constantly just telling myself, like, you're stuck, you're never going to do this, you're, just all of the unnecessary things that you tell yourself that your brain will eventually believe. Because, the thing about the brain is, like, it will give you evidence of whatever you are thinking. If you think that you're stupid, it's going to give you examples of why you're stupid. If you think you're great, it's going to continuously give you examples of why you're great. So it's that picking that negative or positive aspect of how you want to talk to yourself. And that's the whole purpose of this book. Like, if you don't know what to say to yourself, start with this book, and then get motivated to continue that trend of creating your own affirmations, or just keep going back to my book until you get it right. Because I'm doing the same thing. I have to read my own book to remind myself that I'm on this path of the healing journey. Because I also believe, the healing journey never ends. Like, it only just gets brighter. The road only gets brighter. The tunnels, there's less tunnels, but you're always going to be on a healing journey, especially if you went through trauma and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Was there one particular affirmation that resonates in you? Like, out of all the, that you said 80 something that you have in there in your book?
So one of them is stop complaining about being bored and just embrace the peace that you've been praying for. A lot of times we sit there, I'm so bored. But do you remember the times when there was so much chaos and it was a hectic day, and you're just like, I just want to sit down and just have quiet and peace. Then when you get it, you're saying, oh, I'm bored. I want something to do. Nah, you're missing the point here. You're getting exactly what you requested the environment to give you. So embrace that.
Yeah, as I gotten older, I'm embracing a lot of that now.
Yeah.
The peace of mind. I call it the great piece of real estate out there when you're, heading around and about and you're just spending time by yourself. I call that the great piece of real estate is right there.
That's
in you.
Look at it.
Yeah. So I've been also doing my own thing, especially on Facebook. When I try to speak for someone, I try to be in their shoes and write some sort of quote that they would recognize it. It's them. You're like, wow, you wrote about me, John.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I sure did. And I didn't make it too obvious, but they know I was probably speaking for someone else.
Yeah.
All right. Let me go to the next question here. Okay, you mentioned that the book plays a role in your self-healing journey. Would you be comfortable sharing some of the challenges you faced that led you to find positive self-affirmations to be such a helpful tool?
So, like I said, I went through, losing my grandfather and then my dad, like back to back, 2019 and 2020. I lost my grandfather, who, I told you I grew up right next to my grandparents. So, losing him was tough. And then, me and my dad, my dad did his best. I'll say that. Like, as far as like garnering a relationship with me. And sometimes I would like be the one that would like push back and not really want it because I felt like he wasn't there for certain situations. But when I became an adult, I just, I pressed forward outside of the childlike emotions that I had towards my dad, and I built a great relationship with my dad. And as that time came on, he passed away. So that was just very hurtful, because it's just like, man, I'm just building this relationship with this guy that I've always wanted, and then he passed away. And then, things kind of like spiraled out of control for me in that way, where, now I'm divorced, I'm missing my kids. So yeah, those were definitely, and then like going to therapy, and like, I want to, shout out my therapist, Miss Dion Patterson. She's amazing. Like, she's actually saved my life. Just like embracing therapy as well. Like, and it's funny enough, my partner Tiffany was the one who actually introduced me to therapy, because I've even dealt with like suicidal ideation. I dealt with that as a young kid. Just not feeling like I had a place in this world, like, and wanting a way out, and feeling alone in dark places. So definitely dealing with like suicidal ideation, low self-esteem, definitely helped me want to reverse all of that and be more positive. So that's definitely the main reasons why I wrote the book. For sure.
All right. Sorry about that. I would just, the thing kind of like froze for a second, but you're still talking though.
Yep.
Yeah. It's really crazy how these signals are going.
Yeah.
All right. What role does self-love play in your life, and how do you define it based on your experiences?
Self-love is how you talk to yourself. Self-love is also, doing the minor things. Like self-love, funny enough, like I'll even make it as simple as like, have you ever like told yourself like, I'll use the bathroom after I get this done, right?
Yep.
Then by the time you get it done, you're like running to the bathroom doing what I call the pee-pee dance. Like, so that's like very uncomfortable. So self-love is saying, no, I'm gonna go use the bathroom first. Take care. Like you're telling your brain how important you are, putting yourself first. Because if you can't operate as the best version of yourself, then you can't be much for anybody else. So self-love, like I look at this like simple situations like that, slowing down. Like, wait, I don't need to rush for this situation or for this person. Self-love is, again, the self-talk. You make a mistake, giving yourself that grace, understanding like, I know I made a mistake, but it's okay. Or when you do a good job, not looking for the validation from someone else by telling yourself, good job. One of my favorite rappers, his name is Larry June, and he always said, good job, Larry. And I kind of took that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start saying, good job, Tre. You do something, you finish a task, because we all give ourselves tasks, and you finally check off that, like, good job. Good job. Like, giving yourself that motivation. So self-love is all of those things compiled into one. Like using the bathroom when you need to use the bathroom, not putting it off. Speaking up for yourself is self-love. Not being disrespectful, but like speaking up for yourself. Saying no is self-love. And no just being the answer, not over-explaining it. Hey, can you help me move today? No. Well, why not?
Just being direct. Yep.
No. I don't, because again, like sometimes, and I'll just speak for myself, in the past where I've said no and then over-explained myself, I've felt a sense of like self-betrayal. When you walk away, like, I didn't have to do all of that. And then that kind of just tricks your brain into like, see, you're a bad person because you don't even speak up for yourself or you will over-explain yourself. So just doing those kind of simple things is definitely some of the self-love that I practice.
Yeah, I've been trying to emphasize a lot of that self-love on myself for the last couple of months, especially after my brother has passed. I was trying to, keep things together, just concentrating on things, especially just the essential stuff.
Yeah.
Like John, eat well, John, take care of yourself, take your vitamins, exercise if you have to.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about your brother, just talk about him for just a few minutes.
Yeah. Also, self-love is also like, I play basketball twice a week because it's something that I love to do, and it's a great outlet. I could get in between those lines and, scream and yell and cuss and fuss if I need to. And then once I get out of the gym, it's just like, man, I feel so much better now. So those are like just doing things you love is also self-love. Taking that time, watch your favorite show or go on a walk or exercise. Whatever you need to do is just that's beneficial for you is self-love.
Yeah. See, trying to focusing on the material with today's podcast as well as the one I did with my friend yesterday, and also I'm also writing a book, and I spend about an hour or two a day working on that. It's almost done, by the way. I got like 3 more chapters to go. It's an adventure novel I'm trying to get published. So that's one of the things I want to accomplish in my bucket list, something for me to be proud of.
Yeah.
And say to myself, wow, I did this.
Yeah. You deserve that, bro. I'm going to tell you. It's like when things get rough for me, I just come in my office and then just remind myself, like, you did something, and I still get, I just talked to a coworker today and she was like, you're a great man because I read your book often. And those are the things like, I'm not seeking the validation, but then when it happens, I embrace it. I do.
That's great. How many book signings you've done so far since it was released?
Book signings. I've done a couple like events, but just a book signing, I've only done one book signing, and I'm working on, ramping up and getting ready for the new year to kind of get back into that as well. And that just comes with, again, like I tell people all the time, like even though I'm a mental health advocate, I fall short sometimes of the glory, like we all do, and kind of get in a rut and become complacent and doubt myself. One of the things that, I always felt like in the past was like, oh, I'm always in my way. I'm always stuck. Well, then get out of your way. And a lot of that is fear-based. Oh, what are people going to say? The people that knew the old me, they're going to let them. Let them think whatever they need to. Because as long as you're rooted in the foundation and knowing who you are and you remain solidified in that, then that's the only thing that matters. And that's the only thing that's actually going to show in the end. No one else's opinion is going to make or break you. Only you can do that.
Yeah, well said. Harold, Tre. Wow, I'm still calling Harold. It's gonna grow on me real soon.
No, you're good, man. Once you start really calling me Tre, that's when you know you're really a part of the family. Because nobody in my family calls me Harold.
Okay.
It's cool, bro. Like, I know it's a rough transition for a lot of people. When they first meet me as Harold, they're like, "So where Tre?" Yeah, I'm the third.
Man, I got to learn how to take risks because sometimes, throughout my whole life, I've always had this fear of failing. And now I just have to, take the risk and see where this go, whatever it is that I'm, that is presented upon me for me to initiate the action.
Yeah.
I just got to learn to be brave.
Bro. Get out of your way. Get out of your way. I'm like, and now, now that we're locked in, I'm gonna stay on top of that too, because I want to read this book, but I want you to put it out for you. Yeah, just get out your way. And I know what it is to be fearful of failure. I was so scared to publish this book. Like, ain't nobody's gonna buy this book. You know what I mean? Like, just talking myself out of it, which is not true. And sometimes even that negative voice is somebody else's voice. It's not even yours. It's somebody else that doesn't think that they can do it. That's not your problem. That's their problem. You got to stay rooted in who you are. And I really feel like it's time. It's time for all of us to move out of the way. But since it's just you and I having this conversation, I will definitely advocate for you, bro. And I'll also give you any tips and pointers of how to, move to the next step as far as getting published too.
Oh, okay. That'd be great. Oh, I've started this podcast on the onset of the pandemic. Of course, we had to stay home and we didn't have much to do. So I decided to invest on a podcast equipment, which is right here, still here.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to see it take off. I mean, look at it right now. It used to be an audio podcast. Now I have this.
I'm so impressed, man. Johnny, I'm going to tell you, man, I'm so impressed. Like, I know this interview is about me, but I'll just tell you, the impact that you've ultimately made ever since the first time we met in the grocery store. I remember I was flapping your mouth, flapping like,
Oh, yeah.
this is me
I remember that.
falling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we laughed about that, but like anytime that you post, anytime that you like your whole journey has always been like I've always felt a sense of just like humility and positivity. And just like I'm telling you, like you motivate me, like whether you know it or not. And I may not tell you that, but I watch from afar and I'm like, this guy just stays positive. He's smiling. He always has something nice to say. Like, how does he do it? You know what I'm saying? And I know probably internally, like there's things that you deal with, but I'm gonna tell you from what I see from you, man, you definitely have motivated me throughout what is it, damn near 20 years.
Wow. Yeah. Can't believe it's been so long.
Yeah.
I mean, here we are, man. We're getting old. Wise but old, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm blessed. We're blessed to reach this capacity of our lives for sure.
Yeah, I'm just so honored to talk to this future version of yourself. I never knew that this guy that I had a temp assignment, that this guy would be, you know, going places.
I would have never imagined. But I feel like even back then you were kind of like dibbling and dabbling in like internet radio and stuff like that. I feel like that you were doing that, and I was like, I would stay tapped in with whatever you were doing. Like I was always like when you started this podcast, I was an early listener, and one of the most pivotal ones, the one you did with the Lincoln Park, the kid, like that one. I was
yeah.
Yo, this guy.
Yeah, Jamie Bennington. Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's blowing up. I'm like, that's when I hit you. I was like, yo, when can I be on the
I already envision like having you on my podcast. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah. For sure.
So I'm glad that that you took interest, and I said, yeah, the time is now.
Yeah.
So
perfect time.
Especially here, and we're about to enter 2026. My goodness! Wow, and I think it was about 2009 that I met you. I think it was 2009.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I just came back from Orlando. I was about to lose my job, and my lease was up. So I'm like, let me just move back to Virginia Beach, and I think that's how I met you along the way. So yeah, I think things didn't make sense back then, but I realize things do make sense now, and trying to piece it all together. So if I had not went back in 2009, I wouldn't have met you.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, we wouldn't have crossed paths, I don't think. So I'm definitely, I'm very blessed to still have you here, bro. Like, and to
Likewise.
Always keep the communication, like you've reached out to me. I'm made a post about, being frustrated about things. Like, bro, I'm going through the same thing. So even then, like, you validating those moments were so important. Like, you didn't know what that did for me, because I was saying that out of desperation, because I felt alone in that moment. You would just, and I would do the same thing for you. Once I see something, like, nah, bro, I'm here. You need me ever. Like, so. Again, I've definitely always appreciated your presence in my life.
Oh, thank you so much, Harold Tre. Oh man, it's gonna take a while for me to adjust. Yeah, I'm glad you're you're kind. Okay, one of the last questions here I want to ask you is, what are your upcoming projects? Do you plan to do more writing, workshops, or other ways to expand your so whatever you need to do, your gifts?
I'm a creative. Like I said, I enjoy writing. And one of the things that I want to do, I wrote a show, an 8-episode show. It's called Average Jermaine. It's based upon just a young man, kind of like the average Joe, but Jermaine. Jermaine is a more, it's a name in the African American community. Like, once you hear Jermaine, like, it's probably a Black person. So Average Jermaine is just rooted around like a 37-year-old, kind of loosely based upon some of the experiences I personally had or seen from other friends and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of writing like a coming to age. Because like what I've seen for, African American television is like you're either like really affluent, like in the, the Blackish type of environment, or you're a drug dealer. Like you don't see the average working African American male just trying to figure out life, trying to figure out mental health, the healing journey, dealing with trauma, dealing with relationships, dealing with, not making enough money and trying to survive. So, yeah, I'm working on shooting a pilot for that. I wrote that back in like 2021, like basically like at the end of what the pandemic, whatever that was. So, definitely want to work on another book. I've been working on several ideas with that as well, but like definitely keeping my foot on the gas with my first book too. I don't feel like it's done yet. I don't feel like it's reached enough people. That's why I'm, reaching out, doing podcasts and a couple things that I'm working on for the new year, to keep this book, as relevant as I can.
Right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this latest episode of the 2400 Block Podcast with my friend Tre. Finally got it right this time. Tre. Yeah, Tre Martin. Definitely good to have him on. It's been a long time coming. I really did wanted him to be here, and I'm glad he took interest in coming to the show, even just putting in time today, guys, after playing b-ball. So definitely kudos to you.
3-hour work shift, 3 hours basketball. Right.
Wow. I don't know how you do it, bro. That's what you call self-love right there, man. Just taking care of all these things and finally showing up here on the podcast at the end. Yeah. So Tre, how does one get a copy of your book? How do they go about with that?
So you can go on Amazon.com, look up the book right here. It looks just like this. I'm just talking to myself, but if you're reading this, hopefully it helps. Right there, Amazon.com. Or reach out to me on social media. My Facebook is my full name, Harold Martin III. My Instagram is Treo. So yeah, just reach out. Or go to Amazon.com and type in the title of the book, and it'll pop up.
All right, I'm going to ask you some weird.
I'll ship it out to you. I got plenty of books on deck.
I'm going to ask you a weird question. Do you take PayPal? Do you take Chime or Zelle?
I accept all forms of payments.
Oh, wonderful! So I can probably get a personalized signed copy of your book.
Definitely your signed copy is on the way for sure.
Oh, thank you so much. And for all of you watching, I want to wish you all, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Same to Tre over here.
Same to you, man. Happy holidays.
Appreciate that so much. You take care of yourself, all right, Tre?
All right, man. You too, man.
Cool.
Peace.
Thanks for checking out this episode of 2400 Block Podcast. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.